Welcome, everybody, back to another edition of the Fatboyz Dynasty podcast hosted by the Fantasy Holics Podcast Network. Brant, it is a special week. We've made it. We're finally here. The NFL season is upon us. We're back into our comfort zones this week.
It's week one. It's here. It's Christmas week. It's the greatest time. We're making up our menus. We're getting all of our time right, making sure our schedules are lining up and no birthday parties are planned on a Sunday. Making sure everything is good to go this week. It is week one. We get a beautiful game on Thursday to kick off, which we'll talk about here in just a couple minutes. But yeah, it's week one. I know we said we weren't going to come out with this week, but we've got to make sure we get you guys ready for week one. We want to preview this Thursday night game, talk about a few other things.
And it really wouldn't be right for us to not work on Labor Day after all. We ought to get some work in. Grant, I already do know my menu this week. I know you're taking a little shot at me, but we are having a 3-Rex party for my future Falcons football buddy. So, I'll skip football this Sunday for bits and pieces. It's going to be on, and I'm going to be in and out of the house all day. But to eventually have a future friend to hang out with on Sundays and just to share in the tears with me when the Falcons collapse in the future. So it'll be all worth it. But I'm having some dino chicken nuggets because it's a dinosaur birthday party. So obviously, just probably the best menu of the week for me. I don't know if it'll be topped.
Mine's looking like we're doing some wings and then going to have some other stuff thrown in. I'll have some surprises on Sunday. I may have to run off a screen to throw some wood chips into my smoker on Sunday.
That's called waddling, sir. Nobody needs to see that.
Well, then everybody gets to feel it when I move.
It's week one. Let's get into it. Let's get the bibs on.
And let's eat.
Brant, I think it needs to be reiterated too before we jump into this because it is week one. I know I'm excited about it. I know you're excited about it, but we will be live 10 a.m. Eastern time for Start Sit Needs on YouTube, on Facebook, on Instagram. This Sunday, we start that all the way through. And if the demand's there, we come back in the playoffs as well, Brant. And so I think it's just important for folks to be aware of that. We don't do anything Thursday night, but we do Sunday morning. We do an hour live start sit, and then the rest of the awesome folks over at the Fantasy Holics do a start sit Facebook post as well. So if you don't happen to jump on and see us, there will be some awesome dudes with a lot of knowledge answering start sits on the Facebook posts on Sundays as well.
Absolutely. And if you do have any start sit questions for Thursday, don't hesitate to reach out to the Fantasy Holics Facebook or our Facebook page as well. We'll be more than happy to get back with you and help you with your start sits. Remember, one of the biggest things for Thursday night football, and we say it in and out and every single week, is don't flex your Thursday night plays. Don't flex them. Get them out of your flex.
Okay, there, yeah, we'll say that probably once or twice more as this episode goes on. But yes, Brant, don't flex your guys on Thursday night. And once we get into it, don't flex your early morning Sunday guys on those other overseas games either. But we'll talk about that as we get into those games. But yes, Brant, you alluded to it. Thursday night, we have our opening night of football. And the NFL Network did us pretty solid when they scheduled these games. They gave us a pretty darn good slate week one, and it starts with a pretty darn good game on Thursday. And I know we're not really talking about that tonight, but it also ends with a very good Monday night football game this week. I know myself, like most of America, will be glued to the couch and the TV Thursday all the way through Monday evening. So, but we do start with the Detroit Lions traveling to Kansas City to take on reigning Super Bowl champion Kansas City Chiefs, along with MVP Patrick Mahomes. Brant.
Yeah, this game is slated to have a point spread of 54.5 points. It's one of the highest scoring games this week. So a lot of guys should be seeing a lot of fantasy points. The Chiefs are favorited by 6 points, or 6.5 points. Sorry. This should be a really good game. You get to see what does Patrick Mahomes' new wide receiver core. I do say wide receiver core because we know what his tight end looks like. We get to see what his new wide receiver core looks like. You get to really see what the running back room may look like a little bit there in Kansas City. And I mean, you get to see what does their defense look like without Chris Jones there. So you get to see all that with the Kansas City side. Then you go over to Detroit. You see an up-and-coming team, a great offensive-minded team. You get to see that hyped-out rookie. You get to see him for the first time actually on the field in a week one game. You get to see Amon-Ra St. Brown again. You get to see what the rookie tight end's going to do there in Detroit. And once again, that's another defense that has been known to give up quite a few points on the other side of the ball too. So it's going to be a really, really fun game to watch. It's going to be a really good back and forth game.
Yeah, I'm super excited about it, Brant. I think you brought up a lot of things that are going to be something that a lot of America and a lot of the fantasy football community has their eyes on. And the first thing I want to touch base on here is that wide receiver room in Kansas City, right? So it's got Kadarius Toney, it's got Sky Moore, it's got Justin Ross, it's got Rashee Rice. Who sticks out in this wide receiver room, Brant? Is there anybody there that you're playing week one on Thursday night? And if so, who and why?
If I'm playing any wide receiver there, I'm probably going to go out and play Sky Moore if I'm in a pinch. I like him. I like the fact he'll be running in the slot. He should be taking over the Juju Smith-Schuster role. I'm not too excited to play him because I don't know how it's going to look, but that's the one that I'm really looking forward to seeing how his role goes this year.
Okay. I actually think, which I forgot to mention, and when I tossed this to you, so that's on me. But I think MVS could see a decent workload Monday night or Thursday night, excuse me. But I actually think Jerick McKinnon is going to be the lead pass catcher, not named Travis Kelce. I just think there's a world in which Jerick McKinnon finds himself catching 6-7 targets, for 60 yards and a touchdown, kind of the way he ended the season. Last year, Brant. So I think it's Jerick McKinnon for me, and I think a close second. And it may be one of those weeks where MVS has 3 targets, 2 receptions, 75 yards, and a touchdown. I just think he could be that guy in this game this week, Brant.
Absolutely.
The other part of it I have for you is, again, it is week one. A lot of people don't know how to play these things, but when you draft a rookie, Brant, like Jahmyr Gibbs, do you start him week one against the Chiefs, or do you have to wait and see what you have?
Where you had to draft him, so if you drafted Gibbs, I have zero share in Gibbs now. His ADP is so high in fantasy, I think you're almost forced to start him, unless you were able to turn back around and steal some of the veteran backs later in the draft, or you ended up stealing like a Rashad White or a James Cook or something like that later. I think you're almost forced to start Gibbs, and I don't think you can go wrong with him in this game. I think if there was a better front line in this game, maybe you could go wrong, but he is too explosive. I could see him taking 70 yards to the house, and then guess what? He made your fantasy points in one play.
Yeah, I don't think there's any nerves on my end about Jahmyr Gibbs. I am an owner of Gibbs in a few leagues, Brant, and I'm very excited about his role over the course of the season, and especially Thursday night. We all know the Chiefs put up points on the board, and the Lions, I think, are going to have to play catch up with them. So I expect to see a healthy dose of Gibbs this week. And then you had their offensive coordinator who came out this week and said, he's going to be used in a lot of ways. Most people might not think we're going to use him. So yeah, I definitely think you start Gibbs. I think you start Gibbs with a decent amount of confidence. And I'll talk about it a little bit later, but I expect his production to be very, very good this week as well.
Absolutely.
So, Brant, okay, let's talk about this too. So again, Thursday night football, it's here. Everybody wants to see a good game, but let's talk about the fantasy relevant pieces here. If you want to start with one team and I'll pick up on the other, what are you looking forward to fantasy wise in this game?
I'm looking forward to. I'm going to take Detroit. I'm going to go talk about Detroit. I'm looking forward to Amon-Ra St. Brown. Let's see if he can continue that great success that started a couple years ago, and then he continued it all year last year. Let's see how that looks. Let's see how he integrates with the offense. Still, I know obviously he's got the great rapport, but honestly, St. Brown's a guy that I see averaging probably almost 8 catches a game this year. I really do. I think he's going to be a huge PPR stud, and I really, really think that it's going to be a very great outlier of what you're going to see this season with the trust between him and Goff that they have there. And then, like you said, you talked about the backfield. What is the split in the goal line? Do we see Gibbs get a few goal line carries? Do we see Montgomery? I could see Montgomery seeing a lot more work than a lot of people are thinking about there between the 20s and everything else. So I really think that Detroit, and this is going to be a great outlier, I think Detroit might have 2 startable running backs in their offense this year.
Yeah, Brant, I absolutely think you're right. I think there's a good chance that Montgomery and Gibbs both have fantasy relevancy, and I don't think it's much up for debate in my opinion. I imagine it'll be mostly Montgomery down and around the goal line just due to his size. But it definitely will be exciting. On the other side of the ball, Brant, Travis Kelce and Patrick Mahomes. I mean, who can't get themselves up for that, right? But there is a lot of questions on that Chiefs offense. I'm excited to see what happens in that backfield. How much work does Pacheco get? How much work does McKinnon get? How much work, if any, does CEH get? I know a lot of people were very, very high on Pacheco this year. He got drafted very early in a lot of drafts. Could that end up burning people, Brant? I don't know. We'll see. And then again, like we kind of alluded to earlier, that wide receiver room is a huge question mark. I know a lot of people, were hyper fixated on Kadarius Toney coming into the season, Brant, and what he was going to do with Patrick Mahomes. But we've already had some setbacks there that we'll talk about a little bit later on. And then you've got MVS, who's, one of the quickest, fastest guys on the field. He just, seems to have that butter on his fingers, right? Then you've got, Justin Ross, who's a great project guy, Rashee Rice, who I, along with a lot of other people, am very excited about moving forward. And then you got Sky Moore, a guy who found himself going super early in rookie drafts last year, Brant. In our home dynasty league, we saw him go in front of Garrett Wilson in the first round. And we laugh, but a lot of people fell for that. It's, hey, you're attaching this young stud wide receiver to Patrick Mahomes, the greatest quarterback in the NFL at this time, whatever. So yeah, there's just a lot of figuring it out. The one other thing I want to add with this Kansas City offense, Brant, and I know you and I will be back to talk about it next Monday. If one of these wide receivers busts out this week, don't necessarily, if you're in a fab budget league, if you're in one of those, if you have a high waiver, don't necessarily rush out, to go grab it. Brent, his name's going to elude me right now. We'll see if it comes to me. But there was the Kansas City Chiefs wide receiver a few years ago who absolutely exploded. Week 1, everybody was trading for him, drafting for him.
The same guy that's exploded week 1 when he was in different offense. Sammy Watkins.
Thank you. There you go. Sammy Watkins. Yes, a couple of years ago, Sammy Watkins exploded week 1. Everybody went out and traded for him. And the rest of the season, the other 16 games, he didn't combine to score what he scored in week 1 that year. So don't fall for that here. Again, the Chiefs backfield and the Lions backfield too. But the Chiefs backfield, be cautious of the numbers that come out. If Kansas City gets up to a big lead and you end up seeing CEH with 25 carries, do those 25 carries really mean anything? Or were they just trying to keep Pacheco from getting hurt moving forward? We'll all break that down next week. But again, this Kansas City offense could be a huge trap offense as far as this guy's going to be great this week, not so much next week.
Right. So let's hit it. Who you got? Who you got in this game? Where you got?
I think the Lions are going to have a very good season this year. I expect some very good things. I expect them to compete for the division in the NFC North. I don't take them to dethrone the Kansas City Chiefs. With the exception of Chris Jones up front, they have not gotten any worse in Kansas City. The argument could actually be made they're better offensively to start the season this year than they were last. I'm just not ready to pick against Patrick Mahomes yet. I know you and I sat down the other day and we went through the entire 18 game slate or 18-week slate, excuse me, and we did wins and losses for all these teams. And I know I didn't have the Chiefs as the best record, neither did you, but I just can't pick against them. I know you feel differently, so I'll turn that over to you.
I think this is a trap game. I do. I think Detroit goes in, and I think Detroit shows what they're going to be about this year. I really do. I don't know if I could pick them to win it outright. I did when we did our schedule. I did pick them to win outright. I think there's a chance they do. I definitely will take them to cover that 6.5 point spread. But yeah, I think this is going to be one of the greatest games this week. I really do. Not a whole lot of defense, so greatest games for fantasy. But yeah, I do believe that this is a trap game. I do believe the Lions can pull this game out, and I think when it comes down to the wire, if they have the ball last, I think they may win this game.
Okay. There you have it, Brant. All right. Before we move on from this game, there's one last thing that's very imperative that we get into. We've been alluding to this all year, Brant, or all offseason, at least the last month and a half anyway. Brant, you and I are going to be doing a picks of the week every week for Underdog, who the Fantasy Holics have partnered with. Use the promo code HOLICS on your initial deposit, and they will double your entry fee up to $100. Brant, we're going to do plays of the week every Sunday, but it wouldn't be right if we didn't come on to the episode and do some here. So again, this is going to be a weekly segment, but Brant, anything you'd like to add?
So this is our picks of our play of the week for Thursday night. Underdog has done something special this week, and they have given you guys a free square almost with the Patrick Mahomes yards. They have it for higher or lower than a half of yard with Patrick Mahomes. So, guys, we're going to give you our pick of the day. It's pick Patrick Mahomes over a half a yard. That's it. That's all we got. No, I'm just kidding. But they do. They're giving you guys a free square. There, go out, use that free square, use the fantasy code HOLICS, and we're going to give you guys a couple more picks to go along with that because you have to have a few more than just that one because it's not that easy, but it can be.
Hey, some weeks if you feel like it is, and other weeks you feel like you're on a different planet, Brant. That's the fun part about this. You have that beat that you just feel like, hey man, I could take out a second mortgage on my house, put it down, the house is paid off. This one can't miss. And it misses. And then other weeks you throw up a prayer. You're like, I'm down to my last buck in the account. Let's let it ride on a big one. And you come back and check later and you're like, wait a minute, that hit. So that's why it's fun, right? It keeps us on our toes. I'm more of a casual player, Brant. I know you're a little bit more deeper than I am. I do very surface level cheapskate bets, if you will. You do a little bit more. You like to talk about units and things of that nature that I'm just not getting into. So
yeah, that's just something I've been messing around and learning this year, and hopefully I get a little better with it. So maybe I can have a little better equipment, maybe buy my own internet so it's a little bit better.
There you go. All right, Brant, start us off with your first play of the week here.
My first play of the week. This is a rookie. I'm going with a rookie, and it ain't the rookie everybody thinks I'm going with. I'm going with Sam Laporta to go over 5.25 fantasy points. Now, when it comes down to 5.25 fantasy points, it is half point PPR. It's higher than 5.25 fantasy points. So it's half point PPR, 6 points for a touchdown. All this man needs to do is get a touchdown, and he's going to go higher than that. I absolutely love it. I think he's going to be used a lot more in the offense, and I especially love it in this game with how higher powered and how pass happy this offense should be this week.
Yeah, Brent, I like Sam Laporta just as much as the next guy. I own a lot of stake. He was my second favorite tight end in this class behind Dalton Kincaid. I know some people were split on Mayer there out of Vegas. And then you had, Musgrave in Green Bay, who was another one that a lot of people were very high on. I've been all along Laporta. There was a time and place, if you remember right, where I was more on Laporta than I was Kincaid. But I think you've absolutely got this, Brant. all he has to do is have like 2 catches, 25 yards, and maybe a goal line look or two, and he should be well over this. I don't expect that to be a problem again, like you alluded to, pass heavy offense. Which brings me to my first play of the week, Brant. A lot of teams come into Kansas City or play against Kansas City, and they have to do things that their offense isn't necessarily comfortable with. Because if you're a team that likes to run the ball, you like to have a slow-paced offense, sometimes it's hard to do that with Kansas City Chiefs, Brant, because they get out early, they step on your throat, they try to put you away early, and you got to do some things to keep up with that. And a lot of times, not necessarily because the Kansas City Chiefs defense is so great, but they manifest a lot of turnovers because teams have to push to try to keep up with them. I expect Jared Goff to go over or higher than 0.5 interceptions this week. So all he has to do is throw 1 interception, and this play hits. I expect Goff to throw at least 1 pick this week.
Absolutely. You see it all the time with how many times he's going to have to throw the ball. This is a very, very high probable bet to hit or higher or lower to hit. I expect him to really be slinging the ball all over. So I definitely believe that 1 interception is very, very doable, which is going to lead me into my other bet my other one to go with. I'm going with, I got it earlier in the week. It was 6.5 receptions earlier in the week. It has now gone up to 7. That is Amon-Ra St. Brown to go higher than 7 receptions. I think I'm taking it with the hope that it gets that 8 that I think he's going to average per game. But this one here, with it being at 7, is a push possibility also. So you could end up pushing, which then would roll over. Your other ones would then, if they hit, you will still get the payout. So I think that Amon-Ra St. Brown will have at least 7 receptions, but I'm going to take the higher on that.
Yeah, Brant, that one's one that I'm very intrigued by. So if you go back and look last year at Amon-Ra St. Brown, he had 7 or more receptions in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 out of his excuse me, he played in 16 games last year. So over half the time he goes for 7 or more. Now that does count pushes, but pushes don't hurt you necessarily. So I think this is one, again, the Lions are going to have to pass a lot, Brant. I think that's one that you can comfortably play, even though you got it at better numbers than everybody else. I still think 7 you should be okay with. And again, too, as I'm even getting ready to move on, I think about the fact that there's not a whole lot else for Jared Goff. He doesn't necessarily trust his pass catching back yet. There hasn't been that, that chemistry established. He doesn't trust Sam Laporta the same way he's going to trust St. Brown. St. Brown's going to be heavily targeted in this game just because of the fact that there's not all that other chemistry established yet with these other guys. So that bodes to it as well. Now, Brant, I do want to talk about the rookie that everybody else is talking about in Detroit. And yes, I understand neither one of us picked any plays involving Kansas City because, let's be honest, they're going to have Travis Kelce's. I'd have to go back and look, but they'd have Travis Kelce's reception at like 9. So it's very, very high. And then again, how do you trust and judge on any of the other wide receivers? So it's a tough one.
2 days ago, at least, I didn't check yesterday, 2 days ago, you could have got Travis Kelce at a half a touchdown higher or lower. 2 days ago, you could have gotten that. That's almost a given when it comes down to a game like this. That is probably why it's been pulled. But keep an eye on that. If it's there, keep an eye on it.
Probably over smashed, I would imagine.
Yes. So keep an eye on it.
But anyway, back to the rookie in Detroit. I have Jahmyr Gibbs higher than 73.5 rushing and receiving yards total. Again, Brant, you alluded to this earlier. This is the type of dynamic playmaker that could catch a screen pass on the Detroit Lions 20-yard line and take it to the house, which would exceed this number, obviously. But I do think that the Lions are going to be passing a lot, which I think puts Montgomery on the bench. It brings Jahmyr Gibbs in. Again, when you talk about guys like Jamison Williams, who's missing this game due to his suspension, potentially you could see Gibbs line up in the slot and out wide this week a little bit, which their offensive coordinator kind of alluded to. So I wouldn't be shocked at all to see Jahmyr Gibbs have a hyper-inflated workload this week just because of the matchup. Now, when they get into the NFC North and they're playing the Chicago Bears, maybe that leans a little bit more to David Montgomery's advantage, but I do think this week it's Gibbs. I know he's a rookie. I know we have no experience on the field, and we have nothing to base this decision off of, Brant. But I'm going higher than 73.5 total rush and reception yards with Jahmyr Gibbs.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with that. Like you said, I think that they're going to have to move the ball. And I've already said it. This is a guy that could take the ball once and rush for 70 yards and a touchdown. Well, then guess what? He needs one reception because Lord knows he's probably going to go higher than 4 or 5 yards on that one reception. I'm going to put you a little bit on the spot right here. I just found this out. A little bit on the spot right here. You and me both love this rivals that the Underdog has. Right now, they have 3 of them posted for Thursday. Just spitballing here. Don't tell. These are just spitball plays, guys. So we're not confident and 100% confident in these plays, but we want to get these out so you guys can see what they're like. First one here, St. Brown versus Travis Kelce in receptions. No advantage either way. Who has more receptions?
Travis Kelce. Kelce.
All right. Actually, I'm pretty confident in that one too. So, all right, fantasy points. You have Patrick Mahomes versus Jared Goff. Jared Goff is getting 8.25 fantasy points. So he's getting about it. Okay.
You're spotting the man a touchdown, basically.
Yeah.
As well as 20 yards passing work already. Yeah, I'll take Goff.
Here's probably my favorite one. Now this one's a little rougher. Isaiah Pacheco versus Jahmyr Gibbs. Fantasy points 0.35. 0.35 adjustment for Gibbs.
Gibbs is getting 0.35 points.
Gibbs is getting 0.35 points. Remember, half-point PPR also.
This one is close, Brant, just because Pacheco could fall into the end zone. I mean, we've seen, if you think back just to last year when everybody was so down on CEH and he had back-to-back games with 2 touchdowns because he's getting no work, not doing anything, and then he's falling into the end zone with a shovel pass. Those Kansas City backs can get in the end zone so quick. Because you have a guy like Patrick Mahomes who marches him down the field, and then here's a little 2-yard dive play, and Pacheco falls into the end zone. My gut says I still think Gibbs gets this done. This one I'm just not as confident in as the other two.
Remember, guys, that's the Underdog offers both of those. Remember, join it. Use the code HOLIX to double your first deposit. It's an amazing app to use. We'll be talking about picks of the week all week. Guys, don't forget, download Underdog, fantasy code HOLIX.
I want to say this too, Brant, to the folks at Underdog. You and I used this all year last year in like half a season the year before. This was before there was a sponsorship. So, yes, there is a sponsorship now, and we do benefit from it. But we were on this site prior to that because it's just that good. It's that fun. Brant and I will talk every day leading up to a Sunday slate about rivals, plays that we like. I think the rivals are the most fun thing. That's where I'm at. Player props are obviously fun as well. But the rivals thing is just, I think it sets Underdog apart. It's awesome.
Absolutely. I love the rivals thing because you get different games. So now you're invested in both games, but I like the player props for when it's just one game. So that way you're really invested into that game too.
Absolutely. All right, Brant. Nobody necessarily likes to do this segment that we're about to do, but we do have to get into it, and we have to talk about these injuries coming into the season. Now, I will say this has been one of those seasons that have been, if you think back to a few years ago, and I know you were on the wrong end of this, you had guys like Cam Akers and J.K. Dobbins going down and missing the season before the season starts and had a ton of big injuries. We really don't have any huge season-ending injuries coming out right now, but we're getting into the season. We have some guys that are kind of nicked up, kind of banged up. And we got to talk about those because sometimes you got to taper expectations, Brant. So I'm going to start us off here because I do think I have one more to talk about than you do. So I'm going to start with the San Francisco 49ers, Brant. And again, this isn't so much of an injury as it is coach speak coming out talking about wanting to avoid injuries with his players. The 49ers say they're going to be cautious with CMC this year, and they're going to be bringing him off the field more than when he was used in Carolina to prevent injuries. They know he's getting up there towards the tail end of his career potentially, and they want to keep him healthy so he's able to do what he does best without a huge workload, Brent. So, a lot of times, especially with the recent JT stuff, the Austin Eckler news, CMC's still been one of the, if not the first, one of the top 3 backs off the board in most drafts. Are your expectations lowered at all by these news that come out about them resting CMC?
I'm tempering expectations a little bit, but if you look back when he played full seasons, how many times did he finish so many points above the next back? He is that good that I think even if you drop him down 10% snaps or even, a little bit more, I still think he'll be a top 3 back in the NFL. That's really where I'm at. This opens a bigger door in my mind for Mitchell or Davis Price. Is that the other one there? It opens a bigger door for them to maybe have some fantasy relevancy. We saw Mitchell was able to do it a few times with CMC during the year last year, but those are 2 guys that I'd be looking to pick up or keeping on my radar.
I want to ask you, Brant, and I wonder, because you've been the biggest advocate for this all off season that I know personally. You have gotten off the Deebo Samuel train. You've smacked that train on the booty as it left the station. Bon voyage, never to be seen again. Do you worry that Deebo Samuel may get some of that CMC relevant work that he did before CMC came to town when CMC's on the sidelines?
It worries me a little bit, but in my mind, and the reason I'm off the Deebo is I don't think he's the best receiver on the team, and he's definitely not the best running back on the team. So maybe he gets an extra carry, maybe he gets an extra target, but I'm really not too worried about it. I'm still off that train. That's not the guy that I want in San Fran.
Okay.
So my first injury is an injury that could end up lingering all year, and I have fallen victim to it because I went out and I traded for this guy because I've never ever owned him, and I wanted a piece of him, and that is Cooper Kupp and his hamstring. He's up in Minnesota visiting a specialist during the week 1 training. He's going to play Seattle. You could sit out this week. I won't be too upset if you do. Join us, by the way. Join us Wednesday, and I'll tell you a nice guy that I like to pivot to. On our Fantasy Holics cast, but with Cooper Kupp being, I don't think he plays week 1. Maybe misses week 2 as well. I pivot to as for a wide receiver aspect, I pivot to either Puka Nacua or Van Jefferson. One of those guys is going to have to start seeing some targets. They are going up against Seattle. Seattle does have an improved secondary. It doesn't sound like Witherspoon's going to be playing this week in our secondary. I don't know if I'd feel comfortable starting either one of these guys, but this is an injury to really, really keep an eye on if you're a Kupp owner. And if you haven't drafted yet, I'm almost scared to take him in the first round, maybe even in the second round. You may scare me off of him at his ADP now, just because this injury could linger all year long. It's his second time Brent, tweaking it.
I actually was in a draft just this week, and I'd have to go back and look, but I think Kupp fell late second round in that draft. Just due to the simple fact that, everybody's a little nervous about what's going on with him right now. Let me see here. I've got it pulled up. Where did he go? He went in the middle of the 4th round, Brant, in that draft, just because, again, people are nervous. I mean, you don't know what you're going to get. And fantasy football is it's so hard. If you start so slow, especially on what we do, Brant, if we start slow in a dynasty league, gosh, you almost want to wave the white flag early and start pimping out some of those stud players for draft picks and young players to start over next year. It's hard. You got to either be all in or all out. And at some point you have to make that decision. How long do you let a guy like Cooper Kupp derail that potentially? So I understand. Breece Hall, Brant, is the next one I want to talk about. This is a big one. This is that Monday night game that we have coming up with the Jets against the Bills. Breece Hall is going to play. He obviously didn't start the season on the PUP, which a lot of people were nervous about. But the direct quotes from Robert Saleh are what have me a little nervous, Brant. The team will start with Hall or be smart with Hall in his return. So I think what you're going to see here is you're going to see Dalvin Cook be way overvalued early in the season. And as Breece Hall starts to get healthy, I do think he takes this backfield back. But I almost wonder, Brant, if Breece Hall comes out and gets 25% of the snaps, averages 2.5 yards per carry on 10 touches, do people start to panic with Breece Hall? Breece Hall owners, does he become available?
I mean, if you want to panic, I'll come get him from you. I'll have zero problems coming to get him from him. This guy's too explosive. So the way I see it at that backfield right now is this right now is it's Cook's backfield. Cook's going to be cooking in the backfield. You'll see Breece Hall come to spill. Now, about halfway through the season, keep an eye on snap counts, snap share, and all that, because that will be the time to maybe sell Cook to improve your playoff run. But I think they're going to save Hall for that late season run. That way they have a good, healthy back later in the season. Just give him 3, 4, maybe 10 carries for the first few weeks. But I think it's Cook's backfield for the first few weeks.
Okay.
So my last one is, I do have 2 more. One is I'm going to stay with the same game I was talking about. That's JSN and his wrist. He got a full practice in today. Yeah, today he got a full practice in. He's looking out there. He's making some good catches. He looks good out there. My thing with him is I'm not starting him. I have him in a few leagues, and I'm not starting him this week for the fact that wrist strength is going to take a few weeks to come back. What happens? So you make a catch, cool. You get hit, you don't have that wrist strength, you drop it. That's no longer a catch. I think it's going to take a few weeks for him to get going. I think he's got to get that wrist back to healthy. I don't trust him this week. Keep an eye on that injury. Keep an eye on how he looks on the field if you are a JSN owner.
Not to mention he's got to supplant DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett, who have been fantasy studs for their careers there in Seattle. So until he does that anyway, I'm not sure I trust starting him. I also own him now in a league, and I'm not sure that I really want to be rushing to put him into my lineup. We will see how that plays out. Another one to keep your eye on, Brant, and I don't really know how serious this one is or isn't. It's kind of being downplayed, but Mark Andrews returned to practice today for the first time after missing 6 practices with an undisclosed injury. So what are we dealing with here, Brant? Is this a calf injury? Is it a leg injury? Is it a finger? We don't know what we got going on here. Hopefully we get some clarity with this as the week goes on. Now, Mark Andrews is obviously good enough that I'm not benching him. But this is something to be mindful of. If it is a lower extremity, this could hinder him all season, Brant. Mm-hmm. And we've seen that with tight ends in the past and pass catchers really in the past. If they've got something going on like a Liz Frank or something like that, it's hard for these guys to come back from that and be productive. So Mark Andrews, again, right now there's no panic button being pressed because we don't really know what it is exactly, but it is something to be mindful of. I'm nervous about it myself, Brant.
Yep. I wasn't hyped on Andrews this year. I do have him lower in my rankings than most people. But yeah, I would be very, very, very cautious and keeping a very close eye on it. I would have Isaiah would likely be on my bench to pivot to if something were to come down with that.
I see what you did there.
Yeah. I did it, and I tried to do it well. But Andrews is a guy that I think he'll play through the injury, and I think he'll be fine. If you drafted him that high, he'll be all right for you to have to plug and play and start. But yeah, definitely be keeping an eye on that. So my other one is Jerry Jeudy and his hamstring. He's been gimped for a couple weeks with that hamstring. We're not sure if he's playing week 1 or not, so you got to be paying a very close eye. I really, really like this offense. I've talked about it all off season about how I like Russell Wilson to have a bounce back, how I like the pass catchers there. So if Jeudy doesn't play, I think this opens the door wide open for Mims and Cortland Sutton to really solidify themselves in the lineup and let them take their time to move Jeudy back. So if you are a Jeudy owner, I would possibly be going out to try to get Mims to maybe pivot. If it's I'm not sure what time their game is. I haven't dove that deep. I've been looking at this Thursday game. So there are 3:25 games, so you definitely need a later wide receiver to pivot from. Mims would be the guy that I'd be pivoting from.
They play Vegas this week. So
okay.
Divisional matchup, big game week 1. So
lots of wideouts there. I mean, you got Renfro, which you like. You got Jacoby. You got Mims. All are pivot points there if you need to go pivot from off of Jeudy.
Absolutely, Brent. My last one is back, and I did this on purpose, Brent. It brings us back to Thursday night. We talked about him a little bit. Kadarius Toney. Andy Reid is coming out saying he is good to go. Do you trust Andy Reid? And if you drafted Kadarius Toney, I know you and I aren't huge on it this year, but if you drafted Kadarius Toney, you did pay the price to get him. Do you put him out there week 1?
Have fun. I'm not putting – we went over this a little while ago. I don't know if I'm putting any of those wide receivers. But if you paid the price, then yeah, I say yeah, but I don't think you really can put him out there because he may be good to go. But guess what? We saw this guy where he was looking explosive in one game, and then the very next play after making an explosive catch, he pulls up limp. We don't know really his is what, a hamstring as well too, I believe. Mm-hmm. So you don't know how well that's going to hold up. He could go out there and make you a 30-yard catch, and then next thing you know, he's limping off the line the very next play, or coming out and never see it again. I don't think I can trust it. I don't think if he's out there, I don't think I trust it. I don't think he's logged a full practice since coming back from the injury. I don't think I'm trustworthy of it.
This is a tough one, Brant, because again, you pay the price to draft this guy, and he's tied to Patrick Mahomes, Andy Reid in that offense. I could see the struggle, but I think I'm on board with you. I don't play him.
Just make sure he's not in your flex.
Don't flex the Thursday night guys. Again, Jennifer says she's ready for week one. Jennifer, I know we are too. I'm sure we'll see you Sunday morning for the live start sit, and it looks like you made a pretty good decision here. She said I got offered Cup and she declined it because she was nervous. Nobody's trading Cooper Kupp right now unless they were nervous about him too.
I'm trying to trade him. Hi.
So again, good move there, Jennifer. Nobody's giving him away right now unless they're nervous about it too. So yeah, Brant, we're here. We made it. It's week one. It's time to start tinkering with lineups. It's time to be, every morning before work, getting in there and setting the lineup. We're not normal. We don't get to have our phones all day. But for those of you that have your phones all day, you're probably in there staring at your lineups. I've been finding myself doing it. Off and on when I have my phone in my hand with nothing going on. I'm going in and checking different leagues. I am lucky to have most of my leagues on one app, which you are too, Brant. So that does make it a little easier to just fly through there and make sure everything's good. But we're back. We made it. It's been a long off season, everybody, but here we are.
Absolutely. And as always, guys, stay hungry.
Stay fat, my friends.